Hello, my name is Ari Saucier, and I am graduating this semester with 2 bachelor's degrees in the fields of sociology, anthropology, as well as art, with focuses on cultural studies, social problems, and mixed media conceptual art. I work in a style reminiscent of pop surrealism and employ bright and contrasting colors and textures, using motifs and subjects found in nature and society. I've been heavily influenced by psychedelic art, particularly by the work of visionary artists such as Alex Grey. As always, I am drawn to the colors and formalities of their work, but the subject matter is what I find most intriguing. I began exploring the subject of consciousness and mind, and especially how psychedelics impact them. Through this investigation, I hoped to uncover some of the roots of the social issues I had been studying. In the beginning, I had trouble deciding how best to represent these issues and concepts, especially in my 3D work. I focused for a while instead on building a lexicon of not only subject matter, but also of color, texture, and other visual motifs and representations of these subjects. This led me to a lot of surface experimentation in the area of ceramics. This is also when I began to focus on ritual and sacred objects, those imbued with meaning and created with or for a purpose. It was around this time that I began to really hone in on ideas of material. Inspired by artists such as Glenn Martin Taylor, I began to ritually collect, clean, and save items that would have otherwise been trash, such as bottles, cans, and single-use plastics. One of the biggest social issues facing us today is that of pollution, so I began building my ideas and certain artistic practices around this trash I was collecting. Plastic pollution especially has been on my mind since almost the beginning of my artistic career here at VSU, and continues to be a major focus for me. I've been trying my best to do all that I can to save things from ending up in the landfill or in oceans, but I didn't want pollution to be the only social issue I focus on. So, I began a series discussing the stigma surrounding mental health care and medications. As in all my work, color, texture, and subject matter work together in concert to create a mood or tone about the work that may influence or inspire the viewer to learn more about the issue at hand, or to at least view them in a different light. When I'm not working on things directly related to social issues, I'm exploring material and subject matters related to pollution and consciousness. The mushroom, for me, is a symbol of consciousness and intelligence, which is the main reason it is such a prevalent motif in my work. Other objects bridge the gap between functionality and obsolescence by repurposing old objects, combining and representing them as functional wholes greater than the sum of their parts, much like both the mind and society. My focus on social issues led me to my first social problems course and the fields of sociology and anthropology generally. I even changed my second major at that point. And for those of you who don't know, these fields are the study of humans, human behavior and history, and social trends. And I cannot overstate the significant impact that these studies have had on me. It was at this point I started formulating the basis of the ideas that would steer my art and research from this point forward. I knew I wanted to focus on the representation of social problems somehow, and soon after it became clear to me. I needed some sort of system, something tying these various problems and projects together, and it was then that I began to learn about tarot cards. The tarot is a series of archetypal figures and symbolically laden images arranged initially as a card game that has since become a divinatory tool. More so than that, it provided for me a framework within which I could work on a variety of projects centering different social problems. One of my biggest pop surrealist and tarot influences has been Julia Rich of Zeke's Lunchbox. I quickly caught up on her work-related videos that gave enormous insight into the process of actually creating and launching a tarot deck, as well as just living as a full-time creative, all things I aspire to. From this point forward, I began focusing on this representation of social problems through the lens of tarot. I was able to utilize my time in printmaking class to the fullest, exploring these issues at greater length and in more vivid detail than I had been able to before. I fell in love with the results, feeling as though I had come leaps and bounds farther than ever before, and in such a short time frame. I undertook ambitious projects that delved even deeper into the reasons why I am so fixated on social ills. I began to explore not only my identity as an individual, but also how that related to and was shaped by the social problems I had been subjected to or made aware of at an early age. Throughout this self-exploration, I kept coming back to the issue of environmental justice and plastic pollution specifically. By this point in time, I had already begun running out of space to store the trash items I had been saving, so I was already attempting to plan projects around the incorporation of these objects. It was then that I came across a video of divers trying to coax a coconut octopus out of a plastic cup it had been using for shelter. I thought to myself that this was the perfect example of the impact that we humans are now having on the planet and its creatures, including ourselves, so I took the idea and ran with it. This resulted in a semester-long and ongoing investigation into reusing and repurposing materials. I wanted to combine more problematic materials like plastics with more historic materials like ceramic and paper. The idea was to begin presenting viewers with not only the problem, but also some semblance of a solution. Working within the Martha G. Smart Student Gallery here at VSU, I was able to create a space that embodied the experience of plastic pollution, producing in viewers a sense of overwhelm, imparting the importance of the issue. I also asked the audience to participate by sharing the reasons they care about the environment, as well as to bring back some of their own trash items to watch as they piled up within the space. And in the future, I'd love to set up this altar in other spaces, especially those where it may have a greater impact. I plan on incorporating more collaborative elements in the future, in both this piece as well as in my practice generally. I believe that in inviting the audience to participate, it may promote feelings of care and connectedness with the problem, leading to personal investment in the solutions. Also, if items that would have been thrown away can be instead elevated in new and interesting ways that may also make them useful once again, then perhaps this will inspire in people the desire to do and learn more about these issues. Also, the octopus for me is a symbol of both intelligent consciousness and weird otherness. Consciousness can be seen as both the root of all our problems as well as holding the key to all the solutions. Part of the problem is this idea of otherness, or that humans somehow exist outside of or above nature. This allows us to both excuse our behavior and make moral judgments about it. In my current body of work, these tensions are alluded to through the juxtapositions I have employed: soft and rough, shiny and dull, linear and organic, colorful and monochrome, joy and sadness, freedom and oppression, anxiety and carelessness. These seemingly disparate concepts are in dialectical relationships with each other, and through my work, I show these inconspicuous connections and associations. My future goals are to continue my current work and practices, including finishing and publishing an extended version of my tarot deck. I want to pursue a multimedia career in which I'll conduct research, create work, and publish writings, all while being an activist and social justice advocate. These are my links where you can follow along on my art journey, and I look forward to interacting with you again in the future. Thank you.